This is the Mike on Mike show. Hey, yes it is. And today, joined by my friend David Masters again. He's a regular guy.
I am regular.
and you know, in several senses of the word. Regular, yes, and
yes,
know, every morning at 6:30 or something, you know.
Regular.
I want to get into the Durham stuff, and you're probably hearing tons of Durham stuff, but you know, I hopefully there's something unique or that you're not getting from the alphabet channels here. I would assume some interesting stuff about Tucker's contract, and you know what he is barred from doing in order to remain in compliance with it. New York City, do they want to be a sanctuary city anymore? We'll take a look at that. Elon has a very interesting interview with CNBC, and here let's just go to the Elon CNBC interview here because it's really great, and there's only one soundbite that I have from that, but it's the best soundbite from it. This was an hour-long interview, and it was pretty good on a number of other fronts, but this smarmy little coward guy who, you know, sort of goes along with the notion that you should be very, very careful about what you say because you might hurt some feelings or you might have some unintended effect. And, you know, you just have to wait until the party line is there and then you can spout that. But anyway, he asked him a question. Basically suggesting, why do you say this stuff? Isn't it hurtful? Isn't it damaging to your companies? Why don't you, why can't you get your head on straight? As though this guy's some kind of a moron who hasn't built, the greatest companies in the world. So anyway, here he is.
You know, do your tweets hurt the company? Are there Tesla owners who say, I don't agree with his political position because, and I know it because he shares so much of it? Or are there advertisers on Twitter that Linda Yaccarino will come and say, you got to stop, man. Or, you know, I can't get these ads because of some of the things you tweet.
Now, this is my favorite part of this because you're seeing what's going on with Elon Musk. He's not somebody who fires back right away. He's thinking about this.
It is the ultimate pregnant pause here. It's really, it's actually quite beautiful.
And it's loaded with drama, and I just love it.
Yeah.
Here it is.
Yeah.
And you can see something turns in him.
Percolating.
Yes. And then.
You know, I'm reminded of the scene in The Princess Bride. Great movie.
Great movie.
Where he confronts the person who killed his father. And he says, offer me money. Offer me power. I don't care.
So you just don't care.
Okay, now look at the size difference between these people, and it's just like you're small, man, and
he's a Goliath.
Yeah, he's a Goliath, and he's crushing this with a virtuous statement that is unquestionable. You cannot, I mean, the people always try to take Elon Musk and go, hey, he's trying to put little things in our brains. He's an evil genius. He's whatever. You know what? He may be working on that stuff or whatever, but these are heartfelt things that he's talking about. These are his considerations that I don't think that you can put a nefarious motive on. Anyway, yes, it continues.
You want to share what you have to say.
I'll say what I want to say, and if the consequence of that is losing money, so be it.
Okay.
Okay.
Gotta love him. Just gotta love him.
Yeah.
I mean, he doesn't always make the right decisions for some odd reason, but maybe he's a little bit bipolar. I don't know.
Well, he's apparently on the autism spectrum somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, the new person that he's chosen to run the company, the Twitter, apparently is a complete loon.
Yeah,
but,
she is a former director somehow of the World Economic Forum. I mean, she's a high executive place there. Now, whether I think he recognizes the sort of ironic nature of an appointment like that. And it may well be that he's had a conversation with her and go, hey, listen, because he's already said, and the interviewer was saying, hey, Linda Yaccarino, that's the gal that he's appointed to be the new CEO, is going to come to you and tell you to stop. And he said, well, you know what? I'm going to say what I'm going to say, too damn bad. So I'm assuming that he's not going to just let her run rampant over everything. She's probably going to have to understand some things coming in that we're not about censorship. Whatever ideas you had about that, you're running a company here and you're going to do it under my guidelines. I'm assuming all of this.
Yeah. The other thing is, or it could be, that Elon has chosen this person specifically because she is his polar opposite. And because she is a person that is about mind control and about, limiting people's thought, which means, okay, I'm going to say whatever I want, according to Elon, but I'm going to introduce this other person into the mix, which will somehow give those who disagree with me the idea that I haven't completely abandoned, Twitter to the right-wing faction. And I think that may be the reason why he's chosen this nut job woman.
How do you have that consideration and say what he just said? I'm going to say what I'm going to say.
This is a great question.
Money is
No, it's a great question. I'll tell you why. Because there is a certain altruism in Elon Musk. In other words, he stays with his principles, and I believe he really means it. Yeah. If I lose money, so be it. It's not about the money for him yet, not right now, because he's got other things. Twitter is just, I think he's already lost a huge amount of money on Twitter, by the way. Hasn't he?
Well, yes.
The stock has kind of, maybe gone in half. I don't know, but
it's true. But you know what? I got to tell you something. It was going nowhere before. It was, a baling wire and bubble gummed Volkswagen hobbling down the road before. Yeah. And this guy has plans about streamlining it into a direct competition with YouTube. And I think the future is very, very bright there. But it's a weird thing. I don't totally understand the logic behind it, and I hope it doesn't come and bite us all in the ass. But he can just fire her and say, "Hey, no, I told you we're not doing that, and if you don't fricking listen to me, I'm going to have to can you and get somebody who will." Why are all these woke people incorrigible? They can't follow direction, and maybe she has some sort of business gravitas that is beneficial for her to be in the CEO place.
Yeah, I think it's kind of my scenario is that he's put her in there as a counterbalance. And what he's hoping she will do is bring over. Now, if you think about this, is actually brilliant. So she comes in, and the people who look to her from the World Economic Forum, those people say, okay, here's what we're going to do. We're going to spend ads, and we're going to spend our money there no, and hope to balance out, because see, they don't want this thing unchecked. The left wants everything within their realm of control somehow, and the economic factor is a big one. So they're thinking they're going to use her as the leverage, and I think Elon Musk is using her for the same reason, except for he knows what he's doing. He knows he's bringing people over from her side to fund and put money into Twitter, and I think it might just work.
Yeah, maybe so. I mean, I have to believe that a guy as accomplished as Elon Musk is on some level playing some 4D chess here, and
Yes. I think so.
and is maybe not spilling to the general public what his design is, you know, and which is probably smart. Okay, so this morning I'm watching Mark Dice, and he's talking a little bit about Elon and other things, but he touches on this interview with George Soros. It was a 60 Minutes interview from some time ago. As you can see, George Soros looks like a young Emperor Palpatine here, and hasn't encountered a few Jedis. He hasn't killed too many Jedis yet.
Yeah.
So his face isn't all messed up. But and clarifies some of George Soros's past. There have been pictures running around of alleged George Soros. Here I am air quoting, as a Nazi guard or something like that. Well, he was 14 or 15, during that time of the World War II, and so that wasn't the case. However, he did participate in the confiscation of property from Jews who were condemned to die in the death camps. And anyway, here, let's just watch this, and then we can talk about it.
Conscience.
My understanding is that you went out with this protector of yours who swore that you were his adopted godson.
Yes.
Went out, in fact, and helped in the confiscation of property from the Jews.
That's right. Yes.
I mean, that sounds like an experience that would send lots of people to the psychiatric couch for many, many years. Was it difficult?
Not at all. Not at all. Maybe as a child you don't see the connection, but it created no problem at all.
No feeling of guilt?
No. Well, actually, funny way, it's just like in markets that if I weren't there, of course I wasn't doing it, but somebody else would be taking it away anyhow. In other words, whether I was there or not, I was only a spectator, the property was being taken away. So I had no role in taking away that property.
Oh,
so I had
he's
no sense of
absolved
guilt.
himself.
Are you religious?
No.
Do you believe in God?
No.
And as you know,
There you go.
Yeah, sure. If I wasn't doing it, somebody else would be.
Right.
So if it's not the devil, then it would be me.
Right. It's the I was only following orders type of thing. That was the was the excuse that most of the Nazis gave when it during the Nuremberg trials, and so he doesn't think of himself as an evil person at all. He doesn't attach guilt for what he was doing, even though.
Well, but wait, hold on, because he doesn't think he has to answer to anything above himself. He doesn't believe in God.
Yes, it's a perfect arrangement.
Well, what's the point? What's the point of having a conscience if there's nothing to hold you accountable? So that's his perfect way of looking at the world. If I didn't do it, somebody else did, and it is actually perfectly evil. But I want to say about his experience in the Nazi concentration camps. The word that comes to mind is imprinting, and here's the definition: it was first used to describe situations in which an animal or person learns the characteristics of some stimulus, which is therefore said to be imprinted onto the subject. Imprinting is hypothesized to have a critical period. The critical period is when you're a child. And what happened to him is that under the circumstances, they were murdering everybody around him. And so he just figured, okay, I will find my safety with the monsters. And that imprinted on him the Nazi mindset. By the way, the Nazis would, put people in Auschwitz and Nuremberg. They'd put them in the gas chambers and go home and have dinner with their families. This is a perfect example of George Soros. He doesn't care. He didn't care. It was going to be done anyway. He became immune to the idea that it was wrong.
So it appears, and he doesn't acknowledge the author of morality. So it's an easy way to divorce yourself from it. Yeah,
he's imprinted with the monster identity, and this is what happens. Munchausen's by proxy is a similar thing, that a child is held hostage by a horrible parent who manipulates and uses them for their own benefit. It is a kind of sociological imprinting similar to Munchausen's by proxy. But this person, he realized, if I don't do this, then I'll just end up on the heap with everybody else, on the body heap. So
right.
He just went right with it. I mean, and this is the Blood Diamond. Remember that movie with Leonardo DiCaprio? Right. They did this. They did a scene in which they took a young boy, put a blindfold on him, and made him hold a gun and shoot some of his friends, and then they took the blindfold off.
Right.
Now he is theirs. They own him, right? And he's going to do whatever he has to do for those people. He's lost his identity. George Soros is just an evil man. He's just evil, and he has perfect justifications for all the evil things that he does.
Yeah. That's right. And which is kind of a theme of, some of the rest of the show. But anyway, so let's change gears a little bit. I wanted to touch on this because there is a little bit of a correction to make regarding Ileana Glazer. And the Miller Lite turned sexist beer posters.
Who is she anyway? I mean, why is a man? Why does she look like a man?
she's an actress that apparently was Broad City. She starred in a show called Broad City. Here, let me just read some of this.
Yeah, something nobody's ever heard of.
Comedian. Now, tell me if you made this connection when you were watching this commercial. Comedian Ileana Glazer doesn't want any more funny business in the beer industry. Now, understand that this article is from March 16th, so this predates all of the Dylan Mulvaney stuff by about a month. So the Broad City Star is working alongside Miller Lite to dispose of old beer advertisements that objectify women and turn them into something useful. Fertilizer.
Well, wait a minute. Hold on. I mean, let's talk about this. We did talk about it a little bit on the last show. And please, I'm just saying this. I'm asking the question, what's wrong with the little objectification of beautiful women? What is wrong with that? I mean, isn't that how God designed our brains to work? I mean, now, if you don't believe in God, then you, as a woman, you think, I don't want a man looking at me that way. And maybe, if you've been churchyized and you've had too much religion and you're like, I don't want a man looking at me that way. Hey. But the fact is, reproduction has to have some components. And I look at these purple-haired, nose-ring, tattooed, 3 feet thick women that have these little children. It's like, how did that woman get that child? Who does she pay to do that?
A wise man with a well-thought-out argument has a great deal of influence. People respect their wisdom. They respect sort of the gravitas that they have Now, a beautiful woman also has a magnetic nature to it, and it is part of the overall package that they bring. They can also have a great dignity and be very wise and well spoken as well. These are all things that they can have, but you can't discount the physical appeal in the whole man-woman dynamic. It just we are never going to, if you took a man and a woman and they had no experience with anybody else and you put them together, the exact same circumstances would apply. You cannot
It's called chemistry.
Right.
It's absolutely chemistry. It's biological, psychological, physiological and spiritual. It's all those things. And so let's talk about Dylan Mulvaney.
Well, here, hang on
Okay,
a second. I
what
just
went
wanted
wrong
to
there?
say the woke
Yeah.
utopia is never, ever going to happen. Now, you may set up a framework in which people will conform to it because they don't want to get killed, but you're never going to have a natural evolution into the woke utopia. It's just not going to happen.
No. It can't happen. And because the other thing is this, how insane are these companies? I mean, obviously, it's one bad apple spoils the bunch. You got one person that gets into a position of power or authority or influence, and then they're the ones that get in control of the advertising budget and do this kind of garbage. But the idea is that Dylan Mulvaney wants to look like the beautiful woman that this creature doesn't want objectified. Help me out with that one.
Yes. And by the way, it's totally okay. There's no mention of that.
Well, wait a minute.
Motivation.
Think about what Miller Lite did.
Yeah.
They took this man who recreated himself to look like a woman,
No,
to
you're
be
talking about Bud
beautiful. Same thing. Bud Light.
Yeah.
They're all the same to me because I don't drink beer anyway. I don't drink.
Yeah.
But, they take these people, and again, on the cover of Sports Illustrated, they take a person who dresses like a woman that this kind of creature does not want to be objectified. What the hell is wrong with this picture?
Right.
What's wrong with the picture, Mike?
Well,
It's completely counterintuitive.
Yeah, the thing is that in the Dylan Mulvaney thing, he envies the influence that the female aesthetic
Persona, yeah,
gives him. But
yeah.
But this gal, she like hates that, but she doesn't hate it. If she was beautiful, she wouldn't be hating it. Or listen. She's not horribly ugly. This is a woman who,
She looks fairly trans to me. I'm serious. I mean, if I saw that, I would think man or woman. I would.
Yeah.
How do you know anymore?
Oh,
You know.
yes, it's true. But
Because trans men have that sort of man-ish
yeah, I know.
thing, and even though they're trying to put on that they're
Yes.
not, But here's another thing I want to say about
the
Dylan
point I'm trying
Mulvaney.
to make is that
Yeah.
you know damn well that this woman, when she was coming up, instead of just dealing with this circumstance with other women, she hated them deeply for the fact that they were beautiful and she was not. In some way, this is the message that I'm getting from this person.
Yeah, quite possibly. But
it's a big thing with feminists in general.
But I want to go back to this idea that a lot of these people, including Dylan Mulvaney, complained that they haven't been kissed, that they can't get a proper date. Now wait a minute, because Dylan Mulvaney identifies as, but wait, he identifies as being gay. Now, if you're really a homosexual man who is attracted to other homosexual men, are you really going to be attracted to a beautiful man who pretends to be a woman who is gay? And the answer is, this is the very thing that the homosexual man is not interested in. He's not interested in a beautiful looking man that looks like a woman. He wants a man who is a man.
Yeah, and count this among the list of reasons why a lot of the gay and lesbian people in the LGBT QIA whatever thing,
BLT, yeah.
they want a divorce. They want to not be lumped in with the trans people anymore because it's getting a little bit too weird even for them.
But here's the thing. I mean, I think this is there's nuances here that are important, because when a person, let's say, discovers that they are homosexual, male or female, the attraction is just for the same sex, the same sex. So this is something that what they want. And I've known people like this, that they say, first of all, well, grooming children is wicked and evil, because they don't necessarily love being homosexual. They may love homosexual others, gay or or lesbian. But they still have the reason about them that says grooming is wrong. Now, the second part of it is this. There is a puritanism about it for a person who is literally just gay, just a homosexual, just a lesbian. There's a puritanism about it. They don't want to have the mix of all these LGBTQIQ. They don't want that because it's not what their life is about. Their life is about the other person. Now, I want to tell you this. I have people, these two women, these older women who have lived together ever since I've lived in my neighborhood. I've been here for 24 years. These are the nicest gay women. They're the two lesbian women. And they're totally nice people. And they don't push their nonsense on anybody. And they're always helpful and kind. And they just are with each other. And, they don't try to go out there and display their great degree of, what do you call it, diversity. Yes. It's not diversity. See, this is not diversity. These are really nice people, and I like them. Yeah. I don't agree with them, but I like them because they're kind and they're true to who they are. The rest of it is a manipulation of people across the board.
I agree. I have known plenty of these people. I used to work in San Francisco. I was a plumber. My brother was gay. It was his plumbing business, and he catered to the gay clientele. And so I have seen the spectrum of gay people, and you have these ones who are, I call the suicidal ones, who and this by the way, this was all happening in the midst of the bathhouse era. And if you remember about that, it's where they were going to bathhouses and just having indiscriminate sex with tons of these people. Well, there was a whole lot of gay people that never participated in that. They're part of the gay community, but they didn't go to the bathhouses. They weren't political activists. They just happened to be gay and they were together and whatever. And there's a huge distinction when you come to ththese people's house. It's a totally different environment than when you encounter some of these suicidal gay people.
No, it's suicidal gays are absolutely, it's a great specification, because even in the gayness of people who have not been co-opted by this big flag, this gay pride movement, and all the rest of it, within that group of people, there is a kind of normality. So you say when you go into their homes, there are people who are normal gays, and then there are people who are suicidal gays. And see, the idea is that they want to drag everybody into the volcano. They want to just drag everybody that they can so that everybody jumps into the volcano in a giant virtue signal that says, we support each other no matter what our perversion is. Yeah. And that is not going to fly with a lot of people who are just other attracted. That's it. Not minor attracted, but just people of their own sex,
Right. Yeah. It's true. And the thing is that I don't want any confusion. I'm not saying that they're either normal or they're suicidal. There's a spectrum I'm saying, in there. There's a whole bunch of different.
No, I think there are two categories. I think that there are normal, and I think that there are suicidal. What's the in between?
Well, it's just variations on these things,
But I'm saying what you said. I'm reflecting what you said. You go to their home and you see there's a degree of normality. It's like a normal home with normal activities that go on. It's not like our whole life revolves around killing ourselves with sex.
Right.
The suicidal gays are suicidal.
And listen, my brother, although he was, partially suicidal in this thing, he never in his cultural, his everyday business persona had no gay element in it at all. You would not.
It was just business.
Yeah, you would not have known this about my brother.
So interesting to me.
Yeah. It really is a
I honestly, though, I have to tell you, I don't think anybody has had this conversation that we're having right now. Because, see, this is a conversation that the suicidal side of the equation doesn't want to have, because then what happens is that those people who are more in the normal category of just being attracted to the other, those people have the potential to pull away from the inducement into the volcano mentality.
And
Let's all go into the volcano together.
Listen, and a lot of them want to. You'd be surprised how many conservative gay people there are. Just because you're gay doesn't mean you
I mean, look at Bruce Jenner. Look at Caitlyn Jenner.
Right.
Still a conservative after all these years.
Right.
So, yes.
But I wouldn't put him in the gay category. You know, he's the transgender. Listen, there's a reason why you know, the normal run of the mill gay people want to kick the T off the end of the LGBT. They're not into it, you know, and there may well be a big divorce because it's difficult if you're part of a group of people. Just because I'm a straight person doesn't mean I buy into everything that every straight person does. Hell, you know, I have a lady that lives down the street that has one of those yard signs you're talking about. I have almost nothing in common with her. We're both straight.
Right. Yeah.
Does that mean we should be part of the same political alliance? That's just absurdity. No. It's really,
I mean,
stupid.
If we had an honest conversation about true diversity, we're looking at a forest, but you know, in that forest, all of the components work together in the forest. There are documentaries that show how every single thing in the forest has serves its purpose, and it has a purpose to maintain the forest and keep the forest healthy. A true degree of diversity is super important for the world that we live in terms of the natural scheme of things. We do not have a true diversity in our world. It's a lie. It's like the word gay. It's been co-opted, the word diversity. It's been bastardized and perverted. Yeah. And you're right about these, you know, the people. We are all different in our own ways, and that's what it means to be human.
Yeah, that's right. We're individuals. So we covered that. And okay. And part of that, by the way, all it was, the only reason why I brought up that story here, I'll go back to it, was that I just wanted to set the record straight that I knew it hadn't just popped that day. But and I was wrong about how far back it actually went. It actually predates the Dylan Mulvaney stuff. So
I imagine that this beer company is just praying that hardly anybody saw their ad.
Oh, they're horrified.
You know what I mean?
No, they know they've frozen their Twitter account. They're not, you know, and they're being just as stupid about how they deal with this as Bud Light has been. And it's just moronic that they're doing what they're doing. But here, let's move on to Tucker. And so apparently, this is the story. Rumor: Tucker Carlson's non-compete with Fox lists various networks he can't work for, but specifically allows him to post to his Twitter account, which is perfect. All he has to do is pre-record his show and then upload it to his Twitter account, which is what he said he was going to do. And
is there any prohibition against streaming live? I mean, he can do whatever he wants on Twitter.
Right. Yeah, I don't know.
If this is true.
For me, because I'm a payer, I don't have a blue check mark on Twitter. I believe that streaming is not available to me. I can post a video, but it can't be beyond a certain size, and there's restrictions that I have that probably blue check mark people don't have. So the thing is that but I can buy a blue check mark, which is something that you didn't used to be able to do. You had to apply for it, but you had to have, the criteria for you to be able to get one was pretty large. Right now, I can go buy a blue check mark, and hey, there I am. And so anyway, I may do that at some point, depending on if they become a direct competitor with YouTube. And it's a freer place to post your stuff, then that's a no-brainer.
Let me make a point about this, because Tucker Carlson probably brings with him around, as you said, 7.5 million people.
That's how many people follow him on Twitter right now.
So So for those people, if they want to get the full range of Tucker's content, they're going to have to buy their blue check mark. How much revenue is that for?
No,
Twitter?
actually not. They won't. I can go to any blue check. The thing is that blue check marks, that just gives you access to more people. It prioritizes your content over other people's, and so he's going to get very good exposure. I would imagine that his following is going to expand greatly. And he'll have far more exposure than he ever had on Fox News. And I think it's just going to be very, very interesting.
But I want to make another point.
Okay.
There's this other point is that, members of my family, because they tweeted things that were unacceptable 2 years ago, they got their account suspended.
Right.
Well, the reason why there aren't more large-scale conservative influencers is because they were crushed. They were censored. They were shadow banned. They were oppressed. They were suppressed. And so what'll happen is that if Twitter stays true to this statement about not canceling or censoring people, there will be a rise, because 7 out of 10 people already feel that America is going in the wrong direction. What's happened is America going in the wrong direction has pulled people back away from that direction. It hasn't caused them to say, oh, let's all go in the wrong direction. It's pulled people back toward a sort of a modicum of reason, especially with their kids and all the rest of it. So I believe that what you might see potentially is the rise of more conservative influencers. Now, if people like Steven Crowder wasn't such an a-hole with the way he treated his wife, he would have been a multi-millionaire, but he's just a jerk.
Yeah,
but that's okay, because you know what? I call it a conscious process of elimination. The market will determine the market forces will determine who people support. But if they're allowed to. That's the idea.
And this whole thing with Twitter is just the market evolving, and more people will come to it.
Well, it's like Rumble. Rumble made a huge profit in this last quarter.
Yeah, they're
huge.
They're doing really well because they are the free speech alternative right now. And there's a lot of people that, there's no longer any incentive for them to be on YouTube because they've been demonetized.
But there's also the incentive for YouTube to say, well, look, the audience is like California. I read an article today that says, why is everybody leaving California if Gavin Newsom's so great? Gavin Newsom is the devil himself. He's like a young Soros, But the idea is that YouTube now has an incentive to look into itself and say, well, are we willing to lose all this revenue? Yes. Because you know what? Joe Rogan shows up on YouTube. There's a lot of content that still shows up on YouTube that's very conservative.
They still make money. Like Matt Walsh is completely demonetized on YouTube right now, but they still run ads on his shows. And they're making money off of him, but he doesn't get any of it. And
he should just pull his show. He doesn't need them.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's hoping.
I wouldn't be supporting them personally. You know.
Well, the thing is that understand that Matt Walsh is not an entity unto himself. It's the Daily Wire is who handles him, and he has certain obligations to the Daily Wire, and part of that has to do with YouTube monetization. And so I'm sure that they comb over everything that he says in his show before they put it on YouTube to try and be as compliant as possible. But they hate Matt Walsh, and I understand why they hate Matt Walsh. Matt Walsh is one of the most effective guys out there on this whole freaking culture war, and
And you know what's weird about it is that, like, Crowder is just an a-hole. Yeah. But Matt Walsh is our a-hole because he's an equal opportunity offender, and he tells the truth all the time. He's our a-hole.
Right. Yeah, but you know what? The thing is, there's a difference. But he's not really an a-hole, but he comes off that. I mean, the way that he is just he's
the smarmy kind of.
Oh man,
matter of factly, like, you're stupid,
and it leaves liberals that are like. They don't know what to do. It's like
brain freeze.
phaser on stun.
Yeah.
So here, let's flip over to this. This is a tweet by Charlie Kirk. And Mayor Eric Adams is now in court today asking the judge to revisit New York City's sanctuary city law. No one thought they would be dealing with a humanitarian crisis of this proportion. Oh, really?
It's a perfect out for him, though.
Yeah.
Look at all the money that they have to spend to take care of these miscreants, these people who are they're like rats who have invaded a ship, and so instead of feeding them and making them fatter, it's a perfect opportunity for this schmuck to say, well, we can't handle this anymore.
Yeah.
He's a schmuck. This guy is just a schmuck.
Yeah, you know what? And the funny thing is when he was running for the mayor's job, he
pretended
that he was going to be the law and order guy.
Yeah.
And the thing is I say this so often that people probably pisses them off. Why are you saying this again? We know how to fix these problems. If anybody who lived through the 90s knows that New York City was a crappy shithole, and Giuliani turned it into a glittering jewel, and they have taken it back down to being a crappy shithole again. And, and so it's their fault. Here's the follow up to that is that he has been trying to do to others what has been done to him. It's funny. Red state governors have been sending busloads full of these migrants into New York City. And it's like, they're not doing it to hurt them. These are sanctuary cities. They want this sort of thing. That's the advertisement that sanctuary city is.
Right.
So all he's doing is saying, we're just giving you what you're asking for. What's the problem? And he's trying to export these people to Orange County, which is a county in New York State. New York Supreme Court judge granted a temporary restraining order against New York City, stopping them from sending more migrants into Orange County.
Now to be clear, I heard this. They're actually busing the people out of New York City into the next county.
Right.
It's like,
they're
God.
trying to get rid of these people. And this just exposes the whole. The whole fallacy and the virtue signal that is this whole sanctuary city BS.
But, in a way, there is a silver lining here because the people in the next county over, I mean, all of New York is not liberal. There's a lot of conservative people in New York.
Totally conservative.
No, they're totally conservative.
They're screwed just like we are in Oregon here. If you look at a depiction of the counties of the state of Oregon. You have a couple little blue counties up in the northwest corner, and then the rest of the state is red. And what happens is, as just because liberals they don't give a flying crap about anybody else but themselves. So they crap all over the rest of the state, and they do it in every state that this is happening in. It's happening in Washington State just the same way. California is, California has been working on the state of Jefferson way longer than this greater Idaho stuff, and none of these are actually going to be good solutions, because ultimately what will happen if we become part of greater Idaho, I will tell you, Boise is liberal as hell. And that state has a lot of liberal activists in it. And despite it being a red state, the school curriculums and the school boards and everything, they're all totally leftist.
Elon Musk talks about the mind virus, the liberal mind virus. See, the problem, I'm going to go back to the Gulf War. You know that the scientists had actually developed a kind of weapon, and it was like an aerosol weapon that caused men to have homosexual feelings for the people that they were fighting with. You know, the mind viruses can be induced, but the question is there something that can be developed that causes people to stop in their tracks and wake up and say, what the hell am I doing with my life? What the hell am I doing to other people? I think that that's where conservatives ought to get together and try to figure out what can we introduce, what kind of pheromone, what kind of thing can we introduce into the water supply that causes people to wake up because, man, everybody's asleep. And this is the problem, is that all these people in these liberal cities, they're all asleep. And as you said, they don't really care about anybody but themselves. But that's a mental illness. And this is the very thing that they are supposed to be against.
Yeah.
They're supposed to be everybody getting along. And, you know, it's like Biden says he was going to unite the country. In what? In a race war?
Yeah. No, he has never had any intention to do that. If you look at his Twitter account, you know, and he's constantly up there giving speeches saying that he always says MAGA Republicans, and then he, you know, follows it with why you should hate them and why they're coming to get your children.
I wouldn't doubt.
You know,
I would not doubt for 1 minute that the main person pushing the buttons and pulling the levers behind the curtain is sort of a Soviet change agent in disguise. Somebody that really, really understands the Hegelian dialectic. Somebody that really, really understands the book on psychopolitics. You know, they really understand how to make people and control people and make them do the strangest things. And I think that Biden is just a side effect of that. I think that he is clearly, he's under the influence of a Rasputin type.
Yeah.
It's got spells and God knows what incantations on Biden.
I think Obama's actually the one pulling the strings behind the scenes here.
And who's pulling Obama's strings, though?
Yeah, right. Well,
the devil.
The thing is that they're all of the people that are part of the administration are Obama leftovers, you know.
Yeah.
And so okay. we spent a lot of time on some of this previous stuff, so I want to ratchet back. Let's get into the Mueller stuff and the Mueller probe timeline. I want to talk about just for a second because, you know, we're way beyond that now. This is from a 2018 article where they were speaking about this particular timeline as though all of this stuff was factual and it was, you know, just another page of the binder of evidence against Trump. Okay. So the raid by FBI agents on Monday on the offices of and home of the President Donald Trump's longtime attorney, Michael Cohen, grew out of an investigation by special counsel Robert Mueller that has cast a cloud over Trump's presidency. Mueller is investigating whether Trump campaign and Russia colluded to help Trump win the 2016 U.S. presidential election and whether Trump has unlawfully sought to obstruct the probe. Trump has called the investigation a witch hunt. And then they go through a timeline. March of 2016, around this date, Russia's military intelligence agency, the GRU, begins a cyber campaign aimed at interfering with the 2016 presidential election, according to U.S. intelligence agencies. So the FBI is not the only people who were conspiring against Trump. The CIA was in there, and there was a number of people, you know, in the Obama administration who were on board with this from the get-go. Let's see here. April 2016, Trump foreign policy aide George Papadopoulos meets with an academic who had just returned from Moscow. The academic tells Papadopoulos that the Russians have obtained dirt on the Democratic presidential candidate Hillary Clinton, including thousands of emails. Okay. They're saying this like...
Wait a minute. Wow, I just had a like a flash.
Yeah.
No wonder Russia is the clarion cry, because Russia's probably got all that dirt, and they want to muddy up the relationship between us and Russia so that none of that dirt ends up getting
Totally.
passed back to us.
Totally.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And they also know that sort of entrenched in the psyche of America is this 50-year Cold War with Russia. And they know that that's an easy, you can make these people the enemy really easily because for years we hated the Russians. And all of the old people who are liberals will totally buy into this going forward all the way up to now. All you got to do is brainwash the younger people, and that's pretty easy. You just start talking about it on the news, and those are the talking points. But then July 5th, okay, wait a minute. June 9th, 2016, Trump's son, Donald Trump Jr., Trump's son-in-law, Jared Kushner, and campaign manager Paul Manafort meet at Trump Tower, New York City, with a Russian lawyer and others. Emails later made public show Trump Jr. believed he would receive information harmful to Clinton. Now, see, all of this now, right? All of this, all of this now is very clear that this was a setup. They were just setting these guys up for what they were going to spring on them later, and they were hoping because there were rumors of him colluding with Russia earlier on. But if you go all the way back to let's see here, let's skip forward here. Okay, in December of 2016, this is after the election, Obama, in response to the hacking and harassment of U.S. diplomats in Moscow, places sanctions on Russian intelligence agencies and individuals and expels 35 Russian diplomats. He's setting the groundwork. They had been talking about this. They knew what they were going to do to screw over Trump's presidency so he could never get anything done. Okay. January 6th, in an unclassified, this is 2017, this is before the inauguration, but, Obama's still president. In an unclassified report, the U.S. intelligence community states that Putin ordered an election meddling effort whose goals eventually included helping Trump and harming Clinton. Complete fabricated bullshit, Then, January 10th, BuzzFeed publishes the Steele dossier. Okay, this is all before Trump actually starts serving as president, because they were basically, envision. You remember the movie Misery, where the guy is he had a wreck and he just happened to be a famous author, and this gal finds him, puts him in a bed, and then in order to make sure that he doesn't get away,
she breaks his legs.
She hobbles him with a sledgehammer on his ankle. Yeah.
I'm sorry I have to do this, but it's for your own good.
This is exactly what they did. So on February 13th, under a cloud of suspicion that Michael Flynn is one of the guys who set all this stuff up. Flynn resigns as Trump's national security advisor, reportedly having misled Vice President Mike Pence and others about his talks with Kislyak. This is a Russian. And listen, at the time we learned basically it's pretty common after after somebody wins the election, it's not uncommon for the people that he has named as his cabinet officers to start talking with their counterparts in other parts of the world. There's nothing wrong in it, but they made it into something bad. And then
it's so funny though, if you think about it, if you apply the same logic to Biden, The evidence against the Biden crime family is so complete,
Yes.
and it is so absolutely undeniable. And no matter how much information comes out about it, think about what I'm saying. Nothing happens. And you know why? Because the very people that set Trump up to take a fall are the people that are keeping Biden and company from taking a fall.
Yes.
You see, there's no way around it. We have to change the system as it exists, and it just has to be done.
Yeah. Now, so we've gone into this a little bit, so you sort of get a flavor of what was happening at that time. You probably remember it distinctly, but this is just a sort of a replay. And you can look at this as Reuters timeline of Mueller probe of Trump campaign in Russia. And you can just look that up, and you can see this if you want to. Now, let's contrast it. This is an article put out like yesterday, okay? And this is the Washington Examiner. They're the more conservative, paper in the Washington area here. So the report of Special Counsel John Durham is or ought to be devastating for anyone who has put any credence in what has now been definitively revealed to be the Russia collusion hoax. With painstaking examination of the evidence, 1,753 footnotes, Durham establishes conclusively that there was no basis for the FBI to have begun its Crossfire Hurricane investigation of ties between the Trump campaign and Russia in July of 2016. The Bureau acted on raw, unanalyzed, uncorroborated intelligence and without checking with intelligence entities. Now, yeah.
In other words, they just made shit up.
Yeah, they
is
just
what
made
they
shit
did,
up.
and then they called that reality. And this is kind of like a perfect example of Biden. I mean, Biden makes everything up. Yeah, all of his communications are full of made up stuff. But like Bill Clinton, he believes everything he's saying, no matter how false, no matter how whatever. I'm just saying.
That's right. So in contrast, it brushed aside evidence unfavorable to Hillary Clinton, including highly significant intelligence it received from a trusted foreign source, pointing to Clinton campaign plan to vilify Trump by tying him to Vladimir Putin so as to divert attention from her own concerns relating to the use of her private email server. Now, this is the basis of all of this. Okay?
Yes, it is.
And so if we were concerned about justice, we would go back and go, wait a minute, it's time for all of these people to be arrested and charged with seditious conspiracy. And for them to spend the rest of their lives in prison. And for all of the little, foot soldiers out there, they at least need to lose their government jobs, pensions, and they need to serve prison time.
Yeah, though,
that's not going to happen.
It's too little. It's no, but you know what's sad about it all is that I think that the scummiest of scumbags constantly desires positions of power for the what is it called when you're giving immunity? The immunity from prosecution. Yeah. They know Alvin Bragg can let criminals back on the streets just after they've committed a horrible crime, but they know that nobody's going to do anything to them because they're the top. They're the top of the pinnacle. You know what I'm saying? They're the peak. They're the top of the pyramid. Nobody's going to get to me. No how, no way. And if you do, I'll take you down too.
Yes. And
it's sickening. It really is sickening.
None of the culpable have any fear of ultimate retribution, and the only possibility of that is for Donald Trump to be reelected again. But So here, let's go to this. The Washington Post stands by its reporting and says that Pulitzer Board concluded Trump-Russia stories were not discredited. In other words, they're not giving back their Pulitzer Prize that they won for reporting on a fake story. It was a fake story, and they they apparently are just going to. I guess they're never going to acknowledge it or something.
Well, why should they? In other words, again, who's going to hold them accountable? If people continue to support the publication, right?
Right. And they will.
And if people continue to support the Pulitzer, whatever the hell it is, because it's a Pulitzer, it used to mean something. It hasn't meant anything for a long time. When Al Gore got the hockey stick prize or whatever it was, if people continue to support it, it's like if you have a cannibal king, and the cannibal king says, "Well, it's not cannibalism that's the problem; it's the lack of bodies." And people go, yeah, we need more bodies for consumption. It's going to continue. We have a cannibal king. People somehow think that the cannibal king is the right king for the day, and they're going to keep supporting it, and it's going to continue to consume the country. That's what it's going to do.
Yeah, I agree. A left-wing Trump-bashing newspaper has refused to return its 2018 Pulitzer Prize over the now debunked theory. And you know what? It's nice that this newspaper is at least acknowledging that it's been debunked. So, they're telling you what you need to know about the New York Times in this circumstance. Yeah. Okay. So the Washington
said New York
Post
Times, you mean,
huh?
The New York Times? I didn't even know there was a New York Times.
Yes. The Washington Post and the New York Times picked up the most vaunted award of course, in American journalism for its deeply sourced, relentlessly reported. Well, the last part is at least correct.
It's just insane.
It was relentlessly reported. But the D.C.-based outlet, which is bankrolled by Democrat donating Amazon billionaire Jeff Bezos, insists it will not give up its national reporting honor. The Post stands by its reporting, a Washington Post spokeswoman said. Now, as you know what, the Durham report, the one thing I will say about it is that it has reignited the topic. When they first came out, they were announcing that the Durham report was out. They showed a picture of Durham, and I'm going like, who is that guy? I mean, that's how long
he disappeared
it has
for a
been.
long time. Yeah,
it's like it disappeared from the consciousness, and now it's like people are going, yeah, you know what? And so let's get back into that can of worms. Let's examine it because there is some undelivered justice there, and we need to get back into it.
Yeah. Well, here's a headline for you, Mike. And again, this is part of the problem. It says, report, PBS NewsHour spins Republicans negatively 85% of the time.
Hello?
And now, so this is taxpayer money.
I'm surprised
going
it's
to support,
that low, actually.
Well, I probably, it says during the first few months of the 118th Congress, reportedly covered congressional Republicans negatively 85% of the time. I mean, if they were covering 15%, it was only because those were squishy rhino Republicans. So there you go.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Well, that is the stack of stuff, and we're like 5 minutes over an hour here.
Good heavens!
The second half of that just happened really fast, and So, you know what? The news, it seems to be on a roll here lately. So you might see us back here in a couple of days with more. But until then, we'll catch you guys later.